Golf Oscar Alpha, ready for departure.
Golf Oscar Alpha, 26 left, take off your discretion, 230 degrees, 10 knots.
Taking off, Golf Oscar Alpha.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Rory on Air. It's June 2019 and I'm departing from Manchester Barton on a flight to Welshpool in the Eurostar. For months I've been deliberating as to whether or not to release this video because as we approach Welshpool I commit what I now think is some pretty poor airmanship judgment. More on that later.
300 feet, flaps away, retrim.
Not yet a subscriber? Well, you know what to do, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when I upload new videos.
Golf Oscar Alpha departing the circuit to the southwest, altitude 1000 feet.
Golf Oscar Alpha, roger, basic service.
Basic service, Golf Oscar Alpha.
You can get in touch with me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter.
Golf Oscar Alpha, 2 miles west of Earlham, altitude 1000 feet, changing to Manchester radar on 118.580.
Oscar Alpha, roger, Squawk 7000, have a nice trip, probably.
Squawk 7000, many thanks, speak today, thanks, Golf Oscar.
VFR, click over. So yeah, welcome on board to another edition of Rory on Air. This is Stuart, who is a former top operative at Barton Airfield.
Oh, what a kind description. Thank you, my friend.
And he's now got a new job. Where are you working now?
I work for CCM Motorcycles in Bolton.
And you're a bit of a biker yourself as well anyway.
Rebel without a clue.
So we're just at Fellwall Viaduct here, just crossing over the motorway. We're going to do the low-level route down in a southerly direction and then head on to Welshpool because Stuart says he's going to buy me breakfast, so...
It would be rude not to, wouldn't it?
I thought, which cafe can we go to that's top quality?
That's the thing about aviation. All it does is it increases the cost of the food.
Yeah. The £100 hamburger,
Exactly.
That's what they call it in the States, isn't it?
Exactly.
Or $100, I guess.
I think the £100 hamburger is Texas, and that's the size.
Yeah, right. Which, if we ate that, we wouldn't be able to fly back legally.
Sorry for any viewers in Texas, by the way. A few years ago, I was fortunate enough to fly in a Grumman Albatross from Isla.
Yeah.
Well, from Oban to Isla for the air show.
Wow.
And spent some wonderful time at Bowmore Distillery.
Yeah.
Partaking in all of the hospitality such a customer provided.
So you are a whiskey man then, are you?
Just a wee dram.
Right, a wee dram.
A wee dram.
Yeah, don't mind about a Glenfiddich or something like that. You know, actually, to be fair, I'm not really a whiskey person, which is weird given that I was born in Scotland.
Exactly.
I'm more of a rum sort of guy.
Ah.
I like a rum and ginger.
Oh, right. Oh,
obviously
never
not when
tried
I fly an aeroplane. We'll turn the cameras off in a minute. We'll get the drinks trolley round, eh?
Rum and ginger. I shall get the chilled wine out and we'll have a wee dram.
A wee dram. Alright, see you after we've had a wee dram.
Bye everyone. Enjoy. Well, nice to see we've stowed the glasses away.
Yeah, welcome back. We finished our drinks now. I'm feeling very merry.
Cheers, guys.
Some YouTube warrior will be like, what have you been drinking in the plane for? I haven't. I'm joking. There's no activity on them.
Nice and quiet.
Nice and quiet, yeah.
Quite surprised considering the weather's quite reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. I'll rub all this away.
Think we might be lucky enough to get a straight-in approach?
I think we'll get that. Let's see.
Welshpool Radio, good morning, Golf Charlie Delta Oscar Alpha, knock-in, altitude 1,900 feet, 2 POB, request airfield information.
We're using runway 22 with a QFE of 1012.
Runway 22 in use, QFE 1012. Have you got a busy circuit today?
Got no reported traffic at the moment.
Well, Roger, in that case we'll make a straight-in approach for 22, Golf Oscar Alpha.
Oscar Alpha, Roger.
Bingo.
Spot on. Absolutely perfect.
Right, well you rejoin us then. We've just gone south of Knockin and we've spoken to Welshpool. They're not busy today, so that's Knockin runway there right behind us.
Yep.
so we're going to do a straight in approach for runway 22. I've been to Welshpool before with Steve Middleton in Foxtrot Golf, which you can watch on the channel. You've probably seen it already, hopefully. And yeah, so we're going to go straight in for 22. Can't actually see the runway yet, but I know it's in this valley because I recognise the quarry on the left-hand side. So we're just basically going to start a little bit of a cruise descent.
It's really nice to put an airfield in a valley.
Yeah.
Helps with the dam.
Yeah, it certainly does. Although I guess it makes it quite tricky for them when you've got low cloud base and dodgy weather, because there's not an easy way out if you want to go somewhere. Whereas Spartan, we're quite lucky, you know, you can sort of crawl away underneath it. So we'll do our fourth checks. Fuel is sufficient for go around. Altimeter is set to QFE 1012. Wind, we're expecting it to be pretty much straight down the runway. And traffic, none visual, none reported on the radio and hatches and harnesses. Nice and tight, cameras are rolling.
Amazed how quiet it is today.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
After the weather yesterday, I thought everyone had the cabin fever.
Yeah, well, I certainly did. I flew my drone in the park yesterday. Nice cup of coffee and some breakfast.
What do you fancy?
I don't know, I'll have to look, but what I do like about Welshpool's cafe is that they've named all the breakfast items after aircraft. There's like the squirrel, the twin squirrel, the microlight if you just want a light breakfast.
I think I'll have whatever the Airbus 380 Series 900. That'll do.
Yeah.
I've not released this enjoyable flight before because I felt uneasy about sharing this next bit as we come into land at Welshpool. I've already got into my mind that I was going to perform a straight-in approach due to the direction that we'd arrived from, coupled with the fact that the circuit was quiet. As you can see, we're both keen to get on deck and into the cafe for breakfast, but I'm still very focused on the flying tasks and making sure I was situationally aware.
Golf Oscar Alpha entering the ATZ on a long final for runway 22.
Here's where I make my first mistake. I totally contradict myself by announcing that I'm on a long final and entering the ATZ. Technically a long final is anywhere between 4 and 8 nautical miles from touchdown. Thanks to my ATPL Air Law exam study for that nugget, the ATZ boundary at Welshpool is 2 miles from touchdown, so I'm on a 2-mile final. This is clearly confusing.
Roger, and yeah, just be aware, I just think the air ambulance has just started out, so we'll be going out in a second. Yeah, hopefully you'll fit in nicely.
Roger, we'll give way if it's ready to go.
And element 59 Alpha, we're not quite ready yet. What do you consider a long final?
We'll be on deck in about a minute and a half.
Great, thanks. We'll go after you.
Roger, many thanks, Oscar Alpha.
Good timing.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the speed up in that case then.
You may have noticed that the helimed that's preparing to depart is using the call sign Helimed 59 Alpha. This is effectively like a road ambulance putting its blue lights and sirens on. They're in a hurry. I'm conscious of this, and as you can see I attempt to increase my airspeed a little, now almost 100 miles an hour. I'm now contemplating my options. Here's what's going through my head. The circuit's left hand, so to go around I would either fly over the runway and climb, or if the runway was occupied I'd go around to the right, on the dead side. I don't want to turn left because although this would take me away from the helicopter, it would put me head on to any traffic that could potentially be in the circuit, non-radio. Unlikely, but possible. The Helimed pilot said he's not ready to depart yet, and the radio operator, who's used to dealing with GA traffic mixing with the helicopter, indicates that we'll hopefully fit in nicely. This reassures me that it'll probably work out okay. Should I just go around now? I'm so nearly at the threshold, 300 feet. This is my decision height. The runway's clear, the Helimed still isn't ready. Continuing.
And full element 59 Alpha, ready to check out information, please departure to the south.
Then a second or two later, as I pass below 300 feet,
20.
22 news QH 1020, element 59 Alpha, we're lifting, holding Alpha.
Roger, yeah, you've got a better view than I have, and the wind is 200 degrees 10 knots.
Thanks, 59 Alpha, we'll hold at Alpha.
Golf Oscar Alpha, final to land.
Roger, 210 degrees 8 knots.
The HeliMed pilot is now ready to go, but as I'm still occupying the runway, he has to modify his takeoff profile and departs to the east. This may well have added to his workload. Well, first of all, I'd love to know what you think of this this bit of the video and what your kind of comments are below. So do leave those and let me know. For me, I kind of regret my decision to not go around earlier on in the process, because I think ultimately the HeliMed is doing a job of work. They're out there saving lives and doing something really useful in the community, and ironically it's a job that I'd love to do one day, and the last thing I wanted to do is to get in the way as somebody who's just there, you know, having fun on a bit of a jolly. So that kind of dynamic to it's played in my mind quite a lot since. At the time, my thought process, as I've tried to kind of explain a bit already, was that you know, initially I didn't really see the point in doing a go around when the HeliMed wasn't ready yet, and you know, there was nobody else in the circuit. And by the time I got to the point in the approach where, you know, they were ready, a go around didn't seem like the most sensible or safe thing to do. At the time I was down to 200-300 feet on quite a short final, and my attitude was, if I went, you know, did a go around straight ahead over the runway, because the runway wasn't occupied, and that would be therefore normal procedure to go around over the runway, then I'm still kind of in their way. They can't really take off, you know, immediately with me, you know, over the runway climbing away at 50 feet, because they're going to be quicker than me anyway. I didn't want to go left because it was left-hand circuit, so that would put me head on to any traffic coming the other way that were in the circuit that perhaps were operating non-radio. Now, of course, that's unlikely. The guy in the radio area would have probably been looking out for them and may have seen them and may have been able to alert me to that, but I didn't know that. There's no guarantee. I didn't have pilot aware on board or anything like that to look for other traffic, and even then that wouldn't show up everything. So going left wasn't really a good option. Going straight ahead didn't feel like it was going to help the HeliMed very much. And to go around to the right on the dead side, which would have also been an option, would have taken me overhead the helicopter and the buildings, or maybe just behind them, at quite a low altitude, climbing away. I had full flaps in at that point. And although I was carrying quite a bit of extra speed than I would normally on the approach, and that was deliberate because I was trying to be quick, and that obviously that extra speed would have helped to increase my margin against a stall in a turn, and I would have only done a fairly shallow turn anyway. But I've read and seen so many, you know, stories online of accidents where people have, you know, a crash or some sort of incident, you know, on the kind of short final and go around scenario. And of course I practiced go arounds a fair bit, and I'd done quite a few of them, so I was confident I could do it adequately and safely. But given that I was that low, and, you know, when I was operating at Barton, you know, we were taught that, you know, if you do a go around before 300 feet, it's because the runway's occupied and therefore you'd go to the dead side. And if you're doing a go around below 300 feet, once the runway's yours and you're kind of committed to it, then you'd go straight ahead, because that's the best way to keep you away from any buildings or any other dangers. So I just wasn't quite sure what the right thing to do was, and rather than do anything and then get it wrong and cause more hassle than I had started with, I felt like just trying to get on the ground as quickly as possible was the right thing to do. Now, of course, once I was on the runway, I was then on the runway, so I was sort of still in the HeliMed's way, but I had it in the back of my mind that they probably would just use one side, which the pilot obviously did. He told me that he was going to remain to the east of the runway, and there was a grass strip there as well, which he was able to do his departure over the top of. So, you know, and the other thing, of course, is that I said that I'd be on deck in a minute and a half, and it was actually just over 2 minutes by the time I actually touched down. So my estimate was out a bit there. And perhaps if I'd said 2 minutes, he may have tried to go before me. I don't know. We're splitting over probably 30 to 45 seconds, but I know that time is of the essence with these sorts of jobs that they do. And, you know, I don't know what they were off to do, but they were an alpha flight, so they may well have been off to help somebody who was in, you know, critical need of assistance quickly. And that's played on my mind a lot, if I'm honest. And I really hope that my actions didn't have any negative effect on the success of their mission. But I thought it was worth sharing with you. Perhaps you've been in a similar instance and you've got something that you could shed on this. Maybe you're one of the crew on the helicopter and you remember that day and have some thoughts on it as well. I'm happy to take people's opinions on it and we can discuss it and hopefully learn from it. But I think really my takeaway from it is that I probably should have made the go around decision a bit earlier and just done it out of cautiousness. Better to be over cautious than not, and just to get out of their way, because that was always the policy that I sort of held myself to at Barton. But I'd never been in a situation where I'd had to make a decision that late in the approach, and that's why I didn't do it. Because if they'd said they were ready 30 seconds to a minute earlier when I was still above my 300-foot decision height, there's no question that I would have gone around behind them. But anyway, that's where we are. I did what I did, rightly or wrongly, and it's changed my perspective on things, and I'll look at it differently. Of course, I haven't been flying the plane for a while now, but now that I'm flying the helicopter and I'm still in and around airfields and stuff, there is a chance that I will have a similar situation where I'd want to stay out of their way. And obviously the options you've got with a helicopter are different, but that's where we are. So I'm not going to ramble anymore. Me and Stu are going to get in the cafe and enjoy some fabulous lemon drizzle cake, which Welshpool's known for by me now. And then there's a little bit of our flight back to Manchester Barton, where we hit some showers along the way as well and have to do his own transit through Liverpool to dodge some of those. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Rory on air.
Hello.
Hello, Rory on air. Oh, a nice 50 pence there. I'll grab that. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Right, I'll just do the drinks.
Excellent. Ready for this?
Have you had a nice flight in today?
It's been a lovely flight.
Yeah.
Really nice.
There's your tea.
Lovely.
Right, milk and sugar for your tea, just at the entrance there. As is the sauces for your sandwiches.
Thank you very
I'll bring
much.
them to you shortly.
Lovely
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What did you make of your breakfast then?
You know what? It's absolutely delightful. Beautifully done bacon. A nice oozing fried egg with it. Nice cup of tea. What more do you need?
He knows what he likes, you can say that for him.
Golf Oscar Alpha taxiing for runway 22 for immediate departure.
Oscar Alpha, Roger. Instant wind is 200 degrees, 8 knots.
Taking off, Golf Oscar Alpha.
Okay, runway's ours, all clear, everything is now in the green. You happy to go?
Happy to go.
Quite different on tarmac to grass.
It is, isn't it?
It really is different, because I don't do it very often. It takes a bit of getting used to, because it's just much more twitchy.
Less forgiving.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, Barton's hard to fly from. I'm like, actually, the tarmac runway's harder.
Indeed.
Okay, clear down your side, clear down mine. Nobody that way, we'll make a turn to the left.
What a beautiful little airfield.
Yeah, lovely, isn't it?
Well, I must admit, the bacon butty was worth the visit.
It was.
Well done, the ladies.
Yeah. Now, because we're quite close to the final approach path here, and we don't want to conflict with people coming up the valley, I'm just going to go for height.
Yep.
Keep us well out of the way of everybody. I love the climb out of Carnarvon to get up to 5 grand to go over the snow. It's brilliant.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Well, that was excellent.
And that was absolute perfection.
Fabulous place to visit, Welshpool. That's my second trip there, first time being with Steve in Foxtrot Golf, but I'll definitely be back because it's a pretty easy flight from Barton. It's something that you can do when there's a relatively low cloud base where you might not want to go over the Pennines to the east. Although obviously you've got these hills and stuff here to contend with, but not too bad.
Yeah, about an hour away.
Cafe.
Yeah, fantastic cafe, about an hour away.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
And the lady in the cafe recognised me as well, so that obviously scores extra points.
Infamy, infamy.
Yeah. So that we are aiming for Slape. Trying to decide whether we should try and...
I'm just looking straight on the nose again.
Yeah. I'm not sure I really want to detour all the way around to the left of it.
Yeah. Question is it a fool's gap?
Yeah. I think that looks clearer.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a bit of a shower over there too.
Yeah.
I think we'll go around the left of it.
I think that's wise.
We're not in a mad dash.
Will there be subtitles for me?
No, I don't think I will. A, because that's a hell of a lot of work. And B, because it's funnier seeing people's perplexion. You what?
Hey, what?
My favourite word that you say is horse. You what? I've been on a race course with a horse, and it's powered by nitrobus. I don't want to get banged up by the police force.
Of course.
Tony, yeah, exactly. Tony lives here on 5 Live Drive. He speaks like that as well. And it really always makes me laugh.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're going to switch the cameras off, save the batteries for the aeros later, and we're just coming up towards Ellesmere down here now. So sort of semi-familiar territory, back past Slape and up north. That shower's moved out of our way, which is good, and we're just going to continue on. We've got the castles up there. We'll drop down. We'll go up the low-level route and back into Barton. Time for tea and medals.
Superb. Hope to see you again, guys.